And instead of changing the base zoning, which is B1, would be allow this board to select a use that's in a little bit more intense district, such as B2, and make it very specific to that approval, which would be what you're requesting, which is without changing the base zoning that would allow a number of other more intense uses for the site. Are you following me?
I got you so far.
Okay, all right. And so, what if the board were to consider that? Is that something you think you could agree to? To just as long as it got you the snow cone stand?
Open? Yeah, we could do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to clarify that because that was an issue in a case that was before this body for a similar request in the past.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Any other question or comment from the board?
Question, Mr. Jean, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Andrews.
Mr. Jean, since Mr. Allen Clark is not here today, as far as parking is concerned and this kind of thing, are we good? The traffic flow around this facility?
Yes, and from everything that I've looked at and along with staff is that yes, sir, it's located, the driveway is located well away from the intersections. You know, oftentimes what we see is that it'll get close to intersection, it'll cause problems, but they've moved the driveway as far away from the intersections they could for the narrowness of this site. Now, this is a narrow site, but for the level of anticipated volume here, I believe this will work. It may not if it was a more intense use.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Andrews?
Ms. Emily, normally you're a more talkative individual than what I can remember. You're awfully quiet standing up there today. You gonna be able to get this thing up and running before we run out of hot weather if you get the approval today?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much for
Okay.
coming. Okay. Anyone else here would like to speak in favor of this application? In favor of this application? Any opposition to this application? State your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is L. Havard Scott III. I live at 1049 Southfield Road, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. The property immediately to the north of the applicant's property belongs to the successions of my late parents, Leroy H. Scott Jr. and Rebecca C. Scott. It was the subject of a zoning change last year from the neighboring property on Emory Street. I'm at the southwest corner of Emory and Hearn, immediately to the north of this property. I think the extended use is a good compromise. I don't really have any problem with that. I think changing something from B1 to B2 for a portable building for a seasonal snow cone stand is really outside of what the master plan for the city would suggest is appropriate zoning considerations. I also question, I know with seasonal uses that y'all in the past with plant sales, for instance, I think those have to come back on a recurring basis. Am I correct with that, Stephen?
He's going to ask.
The very short durations, and I think this was going to be intended to be longer duration than that. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. For the very short durations, they're the ones that come back. But that's not my understanding for this particular.
So, I mean, I have to ask what's the difference between this and other seasonal uses that have to come back. But regardless of that, it's just, I think the B2 is a little dramatic here for what the applicant wants to do. I also note from the site plan that the applicant apparently intends to have a one-way coming off of Quinton Street onto Hearn Avenue, and I just wonder if traffic engineering has looked at a curb cut issue into Hearn Avenue. I think there is an existing old 40 years ago curb cut there that was for a garage that has been torn down years and years and years ago. The parking area, I think that her driveway is an existing driveway. The parking area that's shown on here, I I don't know whether she intends to pave that or what, but what's there now is the foundations of a couple of old houses. So with cinder blocks, you can still see where the old houses were. So I don't know. My parents owned the property to the north of it, half of which was expropriated when they widened Hearn Avenue 30 or 40 years ago. So anyway, I think the staff report has raised a number of issues, including the landscaping, the traffic flow, the parking. I know there's also an old sign that is actually shown in one of the applicant's pictures that's almost very close to my property line. And it looks like it was a small billboard that's no longer in use, and you just see the skeleton of it in one of the pictures. The first picture that's attached to the applicant's application, if you're looking north in that picture, and I am the property right on the path where the old foundations of the houses are. So I mean, I would ask that whatever that old sign was, that somebody take it down. I think it's long since used its purpose, and I wouldn't want to see somebody rent it out to a billboard company, even though they might get
Hold on one second, ma'am. Ma'am, you just hold on. You'll get a chance for rebuttal, okay?
Thank you.
I just want to get some clarification, sir. Now, you said a lot of things, but one thing you did say, you were okay with B1E?
I don't see any problem with that.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like the lady to be able to use her property. I don't know if she's the owner of it or not. I think she's maybe a tenant, but I don't really have a problem with that.
Okay, stay right there. Stephen, you made some additional comments about the staff report. Was it anything else the staff would like to see in STIPs or any STIPs?
Well, I think that if he's making a point, there's 2 points that I'd like to make, is there's no request in front of you to waive the hard surface parking. So without them waiving that, the ordinance would require hard surface parking, so that would not have to be stipulated.
Okay.
I also do not see, I see the fencing shown here, but I don't see anything on this schedule that talks about a fence a sign that would be shown on the plan. If the sign is not shown, we would not expect that sign to be there. So you could stipulate it if you so choose that the remnants of the existing sign be removed, but they're not showing a sign on the site plan. And we can get, in rebuttal, we can get the applicant to clarify that, whether or not that sign was intended to be used as part of their business.
I think the only other...
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
The only other issue I see, I don't know whether, with a portable building, whether she's going to need sewage services or tying into drainage or what, or it's just going to go onto the ground, and I would hope that somebody would address that. It's not my job to do that, but...
Well, that's what we got staff for. They're our expert, okay? Staff?
As part of the permitting process, we have specific requirements, DHH, so that all of the required services and sewer services and water would have to go through a review. We have a number of different other departments, including engineering, to check off on that this certificate of occupancy as we move through. So those issues will be addressed. They're not specifically a part of our review today, but it will be addressed before the certificate of occupancy is issued.
Okay. So it's part of the process, sir. You understood what
Yes,
you were
sir.
saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And please understand, I'm not here opposing development on Hearn Avenue. I just want to see it done the right way. And the case that I had last year with the property to the west of me that was approved over my objection, they've never built the property that they planned to build, and it's being used 3 days every weekend as an open-air market, which I think is probably a zoning violation. So I took pictures of it to show to Stephen.
Okay.
And it's just, I think it's, I hate to see the city write off Hearn Avenue. It still has a lot of potential, and I would like to see all parts of the city developed in accordance with the master plan.
That's our goal too, sir.
It used to be the main thoroughfare to South Shreveport.
That's true.
The only.
All right. We appreciate your observation, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Miss Bessie had her hand up.
Oh, Ms. Smith, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to ask him, would you be okay with a B1 too?
if it's approved.
B1E.
I
B1E.
mean, B1E.
Yeah, he said
please.
that.
He did say that.
He said that.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
sir. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Anybody else in opposition? Anybody else in opposition? Now, rebuttals, ma'am, if you want to come back up. You want to come back up?
Leave it alone, you're good. You're really good.
Yeah, I know.
I did want to say that we traditionally think that snow cone stands are just for when it's hot, but you can basically do a snow cone stand just about year round. It would be anchored in that spot. It's going to have the normal drainage, and it's self-contained, so it has its own bathroom inside for the people that work there. And it
Okay.
would tie into the city water and stuff.
Okay, I agree with you, ma'am. I raised 3 kids and I bought icy year round. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. And we would remove whatever it takes to make him happy. We would take care of that for you. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Any other, okay, we ready to entertain a motion?
Motion to
So
approve
moved.
with steps.
Okay,
With stips.
motion by Mr. Andrews, second by Ms. Smith with stips.
I mean,
Mr.
I didn't skip
Andrews?
it.
That it would be a B1E, Mr. Chairman.
B1E.
Okay. Okay, all in, we heard the stip. All in favor of the motion with stip, vote yes. Opposed, vote no.
I didn't vote.
Motion passed unanimously, okay? Moving right along, the next one is case number C 5814.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I voted yes, and it didn't show on the record, please.
Okay,
Yeah, push it again.
yeah. Let the record show state, state that, Mr. Young voted yes on the last application.
It didn't pick up his stips.
746, 732 Edgemount. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Ann Dixon, Vintage Realty, 330 Marshall Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71130. I'm here to represent the owner, developer of the property, as well as one of the tenants. We are here today to ask that the proposed development consist of B3 and R1 zoning. We're asking that this parcel right here that currently has a duplex on it be rezoned to B2. It is adjacent already to a B1, so the buffer is already there. This will be developed into a parking lot.
Okay. Any questions from Mr. Remedies?
They're carrying a structure down to build the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Our intent is to redevelop the strip center, what is now vacant, used to be a restaurant building, and then the zoning change is where this 2-story white duplex, which is residential to rental units, the zoning there, and redevelop this site into an upper scale center. We have spent, my client has spent probably 6 years with the beginnings of a development here, trying to identify the right tenant, a good mix for the neighborhood, which we feel like we have done with our anchor tenant, which is going to be a restaurant. We have done some preliminary lease negotiations with this tenant. Their lease stipulates that there will not be another restaurant, will not be another bar, there will not be, there are several things that will not be there. Our intent is to put some upper scale retail there, very low parking lot use, as we realize that the restaurant will have high parking use, to make sure that we integrate into this neighborhood in an acceptable manner. And we feel like that this is going to be a huge improvement to Edgemont. Our curb cut on Edgemont will have a sign that says right turn only. Edgemont is a dead-end street, so we do not feel like that this is going to create any type of traffic issue for the neighborhood. And we just want to be a good neighbor and develop this eyesore that we have right now online at Piermont.
Thank you very much. Comments from the board, Mr. Allen?
I'm looking at one of the diagrams, but staff note says landscaping appears to be adequate, no landscape schedule was provided. Would you have a problem with stepping in the landscaping schedule approved by staff? And so we,
Yes, but what we're asking for today is only the rezoning of that one lot. We are really not to the point of presenting our site plan or anything. That will come at a later date. This is our very first step. This is some preliminary, the latest preliminary rendering that we put together as of yesterday about 4:30, so.
Okay.
Gene, this is right around the corner from the first case. It wasn't the first case that's been remanded back to us, am I correct?
Not very far, sir.
It is.
Which is seeing significant redevelopment in the, inside the loop of the city of Shreveport,
Yes, sir.
which is what is desirable.
It's good.
Yes, sir.
If I might add one more comment that I neglected to mention, we are very respectful, and I can't say this enough, that we do not create any type of traffic or parking issue. I know that there's an issue with Rhino Coffee. I work with a company that's property manager for Piermont Mall, so that's an ongoing issue. Also very good friends with the owner of the Anvil Restaurant. He fights Superior Mexican on a daily basis with parking, and that is not anywhere we wanted to go with this development. So we have been very meticulous in our design and also in our first tenant pick, as well as where we will go with additional tenants. There will be no more than 4 tenants in this space, possibly only 3.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you for that observation. Okay? Hold on a second.
Okay?
Stephen?
I have a
Yes.
clarification because you
Yes,
kind of
sir.
threw me a little curveball here, so I want to be sure I understand. You believe that this site plan is more conceptual? In what manner do you expect any significant changes or substantive changes into what you're showing the board today?
No, we do not. What this site plan represents is a finalization of the footprint of the restaurant, which is a demonstration of how small the rest of the footprint of the property will be, which is an indication that we're not going to cram 6 or 8 tenants in this space.
Okay.
It's going to be, at best, 3 additional tenants on the business side, if you would, of this, very possibly only 2. There's a total of about 4,200 square feet left there. There's 3 entrance doors. 1 will be here, 2 will be here. Subject to change, if we end up with just 2 tenants, we may end up with only 2 doors.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. I just want to make sure what the board would be expecting. One other thing that I want you to speak to, there's a space that's outside of the restaurant area. There will be no outside dining there, correct? You're not anticipating any outside dining?
There is going to be a patio area with some tables, yes. That is their intent.
Okay, you will have to go to the zoning board of appeals to deal with
Yes,
that
sir.
issue. Okay.
We're aware of that. Like I said, today we're asking that we be allowed to rezone this one residential lot. And then from there, we move into more documents for you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
We still got you there.
Yeah, if approved, what does the timeline look like on this project?
If the stars align and the weather's good, probably 8 months
Okay.
would be a good guess.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comment from the board before I let her take a seat? Thank you very much. Anybody else here that would like to speak in favor of this application? Come forward, sir, and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Hassel. I live at 710 Oak Knoll Street in Minden, Louisiana, and I am the owner and will be the operator of the restaurant proposed for this location. That restaurant is a family Mediterranean cafe. We are very much excited to be a part of the Highland neighborhood and part of the community. It's quite an area we'd just love to be a part of. The menu that we have for this restaurant is a fresh, healthy menu, a Mediterranean restaurant, which has gotten a lot of great publicity in the recent years. And This location is not a bar. We have no fryers, no freezers, and no microwaves. So everything is fresh prepared daily at this location. Our operating hours will be between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Is that it? Anyone else here would like to speak in favor of this application? Come forward to state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Cliff LeBlanc. I'm here, 831 Delaware Street, here individually and as president of the South Highlands Neighborhood Association. I really wasn't sure which side to get up on. I think we're more in favor of this than we're against it, I think, to use a comment that was made earlier. Up until yesterday, we actually had a letter of endorsement for this development, and as been pointed out, this is going to be a big improvement over what's existing there. We learned late yesterday afternoon that there was some residents on Edgemont that had some concerns, and I think you'll hear from them in just a few minutes. So I guess in honor of Mr. Young, we're in approval of this with steps. You know, we have some concerns, and we would like the opportunity for the developer to meet with those residents and provide a dialogue to make sure that if there's an opportunity to mitigate their concerns, that they're given the chance to do that. So, like I said, we're ultimately in favor of this development. It is going to be a drastic improvement to the neighborhood. They're complying with the ordinances that are in place. We would like them and the board to consider whether it's necessary to go B2. We believe that parking space could go to B1 and actually provide a bigger buffer just to protect in case later on down the road there was any additional development, that it would be a larger B1 buffer instead of a B2 without impacting the development. And those are our concerns.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any
Thank you.
comments? Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here would like to speak in favor of this application? In favor of this application? Anybody would like to speak in opposition to this application? Come forward, please, and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. My name is Robert Smith. I live at 706 Edgemont Street, Shreveport, 71106. I'm here today representing the Edgemont Homeowners Association. Our street is a small dead-end street. May I? The proposed development is going to be, this is Edgemont right here, this is Line Avenue this way. The proposed development is going to take this footprint right here. This is what is there now. It's a strip center that faces Line Avenue. There is nothing on Edgemont. Everything on Edgemont is parking lot. Actually, it's a large space that there's been nothing in. This area right here, this is a small cottage house that's been used for a restaurant and other various things, but it's empty at this time. The proposition is for this property right here. It's currently R3. The applicant wants to change that to B2. We're absolutely opposed to it being changed to B2. B1 is on the outside. This is a buffer for us. You can see here, this is a smoke shop on the end right now. People park right here to go in the front door of the smoke shop. There's no other traffic that comes down this street except the people who live there. As you can see on the end, it dead ends into two people's driveways. It crosses a big drainage ditch there. This is the ditch, and the driveway is here and splits to this home and this home. And I can't tell you how many times a day now we get cars coming down our street at a high rate of speed because they think they can get out the other end and avoid the intersection at Piermont and Line. They get to the end, and it's very difficult to turn a car around in this space. You have to use 4 or 5 forward-backward motions. If you don't turn around there, you have to back down the street and back into one of these two driveways and turn and be on your merry way. We have a very quiet street. We have a lot of elderly people on the street. It's always been a very nice neighborhood for elderly people to be very safely and quietly for the rest of their days. We have a lot of dogs. It's a very small community neighborhood of 22 residences. And the townhomes on this side are the ones that my organization represents. The townhomes on this side is represented with another homeowners organization. Their president is here as well. She'll speak in a few moments. But I was very impressed with Ms. Dixon's due diligence in talking to the neighbors of their prior case. She went down the list, naming them all by name when she talked to them. These people have not even knocked on any of our doors. They have not called us. They have not written to us. We only found out yesterday through our own diligence who the developer had chosen to be their architect. I went and knocked on their door and asked them to discuss this project with us. Yesterday afternoon at 5:30, we finished a meeting with the real estate agent and the contractor's architect. We expressed to them our concerns about the changes that would be made to our neighborhood, the encroachment upon our neighborhood by bringing that all the way down, halfway into our block, right here. This is where they want to come, take all this in. It's taking in half of our block, and we have concerns that they have not addressed. And we started to talk to them about some options, and I think there are some good options that can make us all happy, but we didn't have time to put them all in place. There are things that need to be discussed as far as expenses, what are the things that the city will and will not allow us to do, changes that could be made to their site plan. Their driveway is here. This is the easternmost section of the plat. That's going to come right out into the driveway of the townhouse across from it. The only other entrance and exit is on Line Avenue. So this is going to be used a lot. You can see this is where they've got all their parking, here and here. And people will turn and go to the left thinking they can head east and get to where they want to go, when indeed it is a dead end street. So we would like to request respectfully that the commission, defer this until we have time to visit with these people and come to an amicable situation, because we think we can. It is a good development. I think that it is a positive for our neighborhood, but we need to do it right and to make sure that everybody's happy. I have proxies here from 8 landowners on my side of the street to give me the request that you defer it. Should I give them to
staff right there? Thank you.
Thank you. We don't want to stand in the way of this gentleman's development. We think that it will be good. It just needs the right timing. Since we had to approach them and say, we need time to talk to you all about this, I think we deserve just a little bit of time before our neighborhood is completely changed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair.
Hold on one second. We
Mr.
got,
Smith.
sir, you might want to come back. Okay, Alan, Ms. Smith, then Ronnie.
Currently, right now, and at least the way I'm looking at it, the last section of property that is not in question is a B1. It is the next section just west of there that is R3 that they're requesting to go to B2.
Correct.
Which would be their most easterly part of their parking lot. If that was left as a B1 buffer as well, and it was just parking lot, would that...
That B1 is not parking lot. It's a building that another man owns and has his property in there.
I think that's going to be demoed.
No, the B1 the buffer is not
The buffer
demoed.
is not, but from what I'm looking at, the R3 portion
Would be
will be demoed.
Yes, it would be, and that's what they
If I'm
wanted.
looking at their plans correctly, that if that was left as a B1 portion, not that one, go left. There. That's where...
That's where the structure is now.
That's an R3 that
Yes.
they want to demo.
That's correct.
And that's going to be their parking. So if that was also a additional B1 there...
Yes.
That would be more amicable.
Yes. if, once we get to a point to where we're happy with the whole thing.
I understand. I'm just
Yes,
trying to find out if,
yes.
What-
They need that space to have enough parking for their facility
Okay.
as it's designed now. And giving them that space from an R3 to a B1 gives them that entire block. The gentleman has bought those properties over a period of time with this in mind, and it's now, time to put his plan in motion.
Right.
We just want to be a part of the plan instead of having it shammed down our throat.
I understand. I was just, the normal transition is a B2 to B1, and then you go into residential. You got to already have a B1, so if that additional little slot was B1 as well, you get a little bit wider B1 buffer before you go into y'all's residential neighborhood. That's the
Right.
only thing I was trying to clarify.
Okay.
So if we left that as B1, they could still put a parking lot there, have the rest of it as B2, that would probably be maybe a little more amicable, at least in solving some of the issues.
Until the other issues are come, yes.
Got it. All right, I think there's some other questions. Really.
Yes, Ms. Smith and then Mr. Remedies.
I would like to ask Mr. Jean, did you all send out notification to let the residents know what was going on?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
I've heard that they have some concern
Yes, ma'am.
and want to be a part of the plan.
We did send out notices.
We got the standard letters from MPC that there would be a hearing, period.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Remedies?
And that was part of my question. When did you receive that letter?
It's dated July 17th. I do not have a receipt state on it.
Okay. And understand, that's why we send news out, and no one hides the application. When you call down to the office, they'll give you the information of what it's for. So I don't agree with that anybody was trying to hide anything, because they make the application, they make it public, they put signs up, and they send it to the notification to your house. That's your indication to call down to the MPC office and say, what is this? Can I see the application? What is it for? Okay. The second thing is, I just wanted you to understand, this is a zoning change, not a site plan approval. So we are just changing the zoning for the property, and at a later time, they'll come back with a site plan to...
But I do understand that.
Okay, and that's that between now and that time, it should be plenty of time for you to, get with the developer.
But if the developer really doesn't care what we have to say, then he doesn't have anything
But
that he
you come
has
back
to.
here, and you have the same opportunity for the public hearing to state your concerns. You've made your case to the developer, and they've gone ignored. And then that's our chance to say whether it is or is not a good fit. So just to simply hold up the zoning case because of something that is premature is maybe not in line with the way things are normally done. So we're just changing the zoning today.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the navigation of your system, so I
We did
just...
the applicant in rebuttal to clarify that.
Okay, very good. Okay. I just want to make those points and make sure that you did get the letter, and let you know that in the future, if you get a letter, that should prompt whoever the homeowner or the property owner to call.
But normally in a situation, I think, where you've got this much change to a single street, which is a dead-end street, one would expect the people to want to come and visit with them, just like they did with their previous case.
Okay.
No one came to us, no one.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on, sir. Mr. Young and Stephen, if you had a comment after Mr. Young.
The only comment I'm going to make on is all but the R3 section. If they decide to bulldoze those buildings and come back, they already have B2. They could go ahead and put the footprint of the buildings there. And there's not much this commission could say because it's already zoned. Am I correct? That portion of it's already B2, Stephen?
That's correct, but...
And so there's just that one section on the end that is R3, which would be an issue because they probably wouldn't have enough parking.
That's correct.
But
Correct.
the first whole big block of it, they have the right to demo that stuff and come back with a new site plan and go right back with B2
They do,
structures.
but that is not encroaching into our residential area. Like I said, across from that R3 that they want to change now is 3 townhouses. So this driveway now will empty into her driveway.
Correct. The only thing that we would look at is you've already got a B1 on the other side of that R. So you've already allowed, or somebody did, I don't know how long ago, already allowed that B to go on the other side. So for us to look at the R3 and say, we're not going to give you a B1 would almost be a problem because we've already allowed it to go the other side. Just like I was arguing earlier about the I-1 case next to
Do
the
we
residential.
continue down the wrong road? I mean, that B1 was given, I don't know when, it's been a long time, because that business has been there
Yeah.
10 years that I know of.
Well, unfortunately, we deal with a lot of decisions were made a long time ago that we all still around shake our heads at. And then you get these reverse cases where you got an I-1, and then you go residential that wants to develop all the way up next to it. And so that was not the ideal scenario. You know, we had Newcastle subdivision built all the way up next to an industrial zone. But we have to deal with those realities of what it is. And so it's hard to justify a case when you have a B1 on the other side of an R3 and how you deny the B1. That's a hard case to justify because you've already allowed the other property on the other side to go B1.
Well, like I said, I don't know how to navigate the things that you all do here in the chamber, and I appreciate your time and efforts here, but I just am trying to give to you our homeowners associations.
And I agree with you 100%.
We appreciate it.
What we're trying to do is trying to make it work for everybody.
Great.
And
That's
so, and
wonderful.
I agree that there should be this meeting of minds to hopefully resolve the issues so the neighborhood people are not having this conflict as well. So the only other question I have is on this street, is there dead end signs denoting that?
There's one small dead end sign that's about here.
Yeah, that probably needs to be updated or something.
Now, I don't think people see the sign because it's, honestly, you know, I live on the street, so I don't see it because I drive by it every day, but literally, one every 30 minutes comes down there and has to turn around.
Okay, just a second. Stephen, did you have your hand up on, are you through? Okay.
No, sir, I did not.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Hold on, Mr. Colvin.
we appreciate what you're saying. I know these guys gave you a dissertation about how this works, but we know that you want to hold up on the R3 until you can talk to the developer. We get that. When the developer gets back up for the rebuttal, we'll ask him your concerns, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to express opposition on some new issues?
Hello, I'm Kay Long. I live at 701 Edgemont, Shreveport, 71106. And I'm the south, represent the south side of Edgemont Street. We're 9 townhouses, and the consensus is that we are very much in favor of the development because of the fact that it will upgrade the neighborhood, and it does need to be upgraded. But we still have the same concerns that Mr. Smith just spoke about, that the traffic flow, if the restaurant needs additional parking, that there could be parking on the street, that it would make it difficult for us to get in and out of our homes. The turning around at the end of the dead end is, like he said, very hard to do. My 80-year-old neighbors at one end of that dead end had their trash can knocked into the culvert this past Tuesday because someone was turning around and hit their trash can. And that's where they put it, right beside the culvert. So again, we're not saying that we want the development not to happen. We just want to be, our views to be taken into consideration.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming and letting us know. Is anyone else who would like to express opposition on any new issues on this application?
Hi there. My name is Scott Green. I reside at 706 Edgemont Street, Shreveport, 71106. 17 years ago, I bought this wonderful home in this quiet neighborhood, Edgemont Street. I've been very pleased to be a part of the street. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of my elderly neighbors pass on and leave the neighborhood. I've seen a lot of changes. But I'm very pleased that the city in its wisdom is developing a master plan, and in particular, urban village. But a part of that urban village is residential. And the changing of an R3 to a B1, you're removing the part of the residential picture. So with that being said, in 2007, I, representing the homeowners of Edgemont Street, came before the MPC with a request, because at the end of the street, at the dead end, there was a lot. And it was to be subdivided from an R3 to, I believe, a T2 with 3 townhouses. The board voted against the conversion of the rezoning. They felt the same way that the homeowners did, that the street could not sustain any additional traffic, period. No parking, emergency vehicles could not get down the street, garbage, public services could not get down the street. As well, if there were additional homes on the site. So the gentleman that wanted to propose it ended up building a single-family dwelling. Here is a picture of the end of Edgemont Street. As you've heard the two say, big cul-de-sac there with the culvert to turn around. There's the garbage can that got knocked in the ditch a couple of days ago. That white house over here has been on the market for 4 years. Nobody wants to live there with cars constantly coming and turning around in their driveway. The last owners vacated the house. It has been on the market by the bank now for a good 2 years. We have a lot of issues with that. We talk about issues of turning around. This is a picture I submitted back in 2007. This is just one of the many cars I have seen in this ditch trying to navigate turning around. Now you ask, oh, people are going to turn right out of this restaurant and go up to Line Avenue. Who wants to turn onto Line Avenue at Line Avenue and Piermont Road and pull out into that traffic? You're going to turn left and try to bypass the traffic. We can put signages up like we did on Line Avenue at the Uptown Center to try to divert traffic. We've got an angled turn there. We've got no left turn signs there. Here's one of many drivers making a legal left turn into the shopping center. Here we go on 70th Street, right in front of Panera Bread, Eastgate. There's a nice elongated raised curb there to stop people eastbound from turning into the shopping center. He's on his cell phone, a commercial vehicle, driving over the curb to turn left. Coming out of the shopping center, westbound, this woman decided she needed to go east, so she drove over the curb. So the talk is, let's put a curb and let's put more signage to alleviate the traffic on our street. I'm really concerned about this. Superior Bar and Grill and the residents on Drexel Street had an issue. Here's the solution. It's very dark. They put up a brick wall. People are not parking on their street anymore. They have another access into it. Here is the other access into our neighborhood, Edgemont Street. We're trapped. All we're asking the MPC committee to do today is defer the vote, please. Allow us an opportunity to work with the developer. We have an open mind. We are all in support of bettering our community, but we want it to be a win-win situation. So please allow us this opportunity to work with the developer, save our neighborhood, our urban village in South Highlands. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any more opposition to this application?
He has a question.
Oh, you had a question?
Mr. Long.
Who?
Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry. You
Sorry,
want to
Mr.
come back up?
Mr. Green.
I'm sorry.
Just the same thing I shared with the other gentleman. You understand that if we approve this today, this does not end all discussions because they will have to come back for a site plan approval,
I understand,
right?
but once it changes
Hang
to an
on, let me finish.
R3,
Let me finish.
there's no going back.
Let me finish. So when you, if we approve this, this is not the end of the world, it's the end of the road. They have to come back, and then you, at that time, you have a chance to come back again and voice your concerns. We're just changing the zoning for...
I understand. A little story that I learned last year was when Rhino Coffee went in, and that house was changed from a B1 to a B2. There are major traffic concerns. There's parking in Piermont Mall, parking lot as the realtor. The Southfield Road is difficult to maneuver. They have no dumpster. On a weekly basis, you see 6 to 8 residential garbage cans of garbage parked on their curb. Is that what we want as part of our urban village? But you know what? It got approved. Once it was approved, we had nothing to hold back.
Yeah.
Except the mercy of the board. We're asking, don't put the cart before the horse. Just give us an opportunity, please, to work with the owner, with the developer, for an amiable solution. We're
And that's
asking,
the only
we're
thing I was
asking you
making
to
was that you'll get
defer
that-
the vote.
Yeah, you'll get that opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any more opposition to this application? Any more opposition to this application? Representative of the applicant can come forward with rebuttal? Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you. Let me clarify one thing. We never intended to circumvent the homeowners. Our intent was always to do a very nice development and to absolutely ensure that it integrated positively into the neighborhood. As I mentioned, I've had bad experiences with my association with Piermont Mall and what happened. That has never been our intent.
Ma'am, speak to us.
I'm sorry. That was never my intent. The reason that I met personally with the homeowners adjacent to the Newcastle property is that was the process that I was required to do to avoid an MPC hearing, as Mr. Jean mentioned. What our architect did was to have a meeting with the South Island Homeowners Association. Unfortunately, I apologize, but we did not get the turnout that we thought we had gotten. So, you know, it was not our effort to ever circumvent or blindly exclude them from the process, because we want to be good corporate neighbors. The zoning request today, as Mr. Remedies has said, is just a zoning change. We have a lot more to do before we ever break ground on this. One of those very important issues to this developer is to meet and satisfy and make happy the homeowners that will share Edgemont with this development. It is very important to the success of our restaurant, and it's very important to the success of the other 2 to 3 tenants that will occupy that building. We fully intend on meeting with them and coming to an agreement so that everyone is happy with this development.
But before you leave, let me ask you a question. I don't know what the board's going to do. Will deferment hurt your project, or you want to vote today?
We would like for you to vote today on this, knowing that our next step is to meet with the homeowners to come to agreeable terms on what they would like to see us do to help eliminate the possibility of any of our traffic from this new development from going left. And we are very much interested in doing that.
Oh, okay, Stephen?
I just want to point out to the board that on the application that you have in your packet, if you will look under the acceptable alternative, B1 is already listed in the application. So you could consider B1 because the applicant has already put that in the application itself.
Okay, I think Ms. Cooper had it.
To his question, but I want to see if you can answer it more specifically. What is it that you can't do over the next month, since you said you had so much more to do, if we deferred?
We can defer. We have a tenant that's a restaurant that, as you know, restaurants have peak seasons and non-peak seasons. We are trying to deliver that space to him. They wanted it before the end of the year. That is not going to happen. We're trying to get it open early spring. You know, we could defer it. We do not see a reason for it because, again, our next step will be to meet and to satisfy not only site plan requirements and things that the MPC require of us, but also to satisfy and make our neighborhood that we're going to be integrating this new development into happy as well. So in our eyes, let's move forward with this. The next step, and I did talk to the owner, the developer this morning about this, and he is very much wants to meet with him. He said to me, Ann, if we could get the zoning approved so that we know that we're moving forward, our next step will meet with them, and we will do that in short order.
Is he here today?
Yes. Would you like for him to speak?
Well, I just didn't know if he might.
Oh, hold on.
That would take a suspension.
Hold on, sir, hold on. We got to suspend the rule. We got to.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily asking him to speak unless he wants to.
Okay, just hold. Is that it? Okay, hold on, ma'am. Mr. Allen.
I was pretty firm in the people who have concerns about, we have B1 already next to it, and so the trends are, at least in my mind, there's not a problem upzoning that particular piece of property to B1 because it's concurrent with the rest. I've also been very adamant in the past. I don't upzone a piece of property unless I know what exactly is going to be on the footprint and what's going there. I know your intentions are and what we're looking at. Knowing that you've got to come back with a site plan, which could be next month, very possible. Deferring this case today would not impede that. We do 2 cases all the time where we do approval of rezoning and site plan at the same time, and that should not impede your ability to do what you're currently desiring to do either. That is, and I'm not a king of deferrals, because it puts another case back on the agenda for next month. And I know some people in this room who get on to me for that. So, but in my opinion, it wouldn't impede your ability to go ahead and go forward to meet with the community to resolve the issue. So just as adamant as I was to those guys, look, you already got a B1 next to you. It's a hard thing to sell to say you're going to not convert an R3 or whatever it was to a B1 when you've got a business property on both sides. That's a hard sell to say no. So I don't see the big issue in deferring. That's my point. But to get both done in one, and we do this all the time, where we do a site plan and we do a rezoning at the same time. I just don't see that it's going to hold you up because you don't have a site plan approval anyway. So I don't see that it's going to impede your ability to get done what you want to do for your customer.
Okay. You through, Alan?
Yes, I'm through.
Mr. Remedies.
And this is just more of a rebuttal of what because I understand it's from the applicant's stance. If you have a tenant that's ready to sign a letter of intent and a lease and move forward with the space, they do have peak seasons, and there's a small window in which you can deliver the space, and they will be acceptable to that. But once you get past that, it's not good for the restaurant and their business model to move. So many times you'll lose that tenant, and I have experienced that. Where you lose the tenant and they move on and go somewhere else, and then the whole project doesn't make any sense because you're not going to spend the money he's about to spend to build this without someone ready to move in and start paying rent. So if you defer that, it's also going to defer another month down the road for them to close the deal with the signing the lease. And again, if you put anything back further, you chance losing that tenant. So I can understand where they're coming from on that. And many people that have not been in those type of negotiations don't see that. But I've had my prospective tenant walk because we couldn't deliver the space. So.
Okay. Let's hear from Ms. Cooper. Go ahead, Ms. Cooper, then Stephen.
Okay, I'm not necessarily sure it's the MPC's place to vote on a deferral. I was just hoping that maybe the owner would consider, after he heard the homeowners, this is a small street, they're going to be neighbors for a long time, and I think these neighbors might be pretty critical to the success of this place.
We agree with that 100%.
Right, and now that they've heard it, and I think we all kind of know it's probably going to work out in the end, that you're going to get the approvals you need, hopefully. You might be willing to do it on your own and not you maybe withdraw it instead of asking the MPC to vote on it as a gesture to your neighbors. I don't know, but that's between y'all, and I'm not.
We're talking deferral, not withdrawal.
Well, if they, yes, ask for the deferral instead of us voting on it.
Okay.
It might be something your owner would be willing to do, maybe.
All right. Stephen first, ma'am.
I would just like a point of information for the applicant to consider. You have not, if you're going to just get a zoning approval today, and you would have to come back.
Yes, sir.
The soonest you would be back in front of this board is October 1st. If you defer this case and ask for both, then you're in front of this board September 3rd. So you're actually be able to move for your final site plan approval quicker if you defer. I just wanted you to understand that actually, because we have an application deadline, I'm looking at the application right now. In order to meet the October 1 deadline, you have to file by August 12th and the final deadline by August 19th. In order to have been in front of the MPC for September, you would have had to apply by July 22nd. So by deferring action, you can accomplish both if you're able to get your design nailed down and gives you time to meet with them. Actually puts you further ahead in your schedule, although you have not obtained your primary goal of zoning. You can accomplish both quicker than you would if you were to come back for a second hearing for the site plan. I just wanted to make sure you understood that.
Okay.
Can I talk to my...
Stephen, that's why we pay you the big bucks. That helped me out a lot. Because I'm uncomfortable when your neighbors are uncomfortable with, looks like, for one reason or another, breakdown in communication, stuff like happen. But facts are our friend, and fact is, looks like they had not been communicated with. And what he just said sounds like deferral will help you out more than the route you're going. I don't know, it's your decision.
So, let me make sure I understand. If we defer, we can bring both items at the same time on what day?
On the September 3rd hearing date.
September September 3rd. If we do not defer, then we would be
At best, October 1.
October 1. So we would
For
gain
site
a
plan
month
approval.
if
So-
we defer. Could I speak with the property owner? Can I get the property owner's comment? He's here today, so it's hard for me to make that decision without, can I
You
speak
want
with
to
him?
suspend the
We could
rule?
suspend, make a motion to suspend the rule.
Okay, the move and second to suspend the rule to allow the owner of this property to speak. All in favor, vote yes.
All right, I'll
Don't-
speak
she's
for
just
him,
gonna
but I
show-
just want to.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Give
okay,
them a minute to speak.
okay.
We don't have to vote.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did, vote, if we can get it up.
Isn't it just a hand raise?
All right.
Show of hands.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
All right.
Motion carried.
He does want to speak, if that's all right.
Okay. That was the motion anyway. I love it, I love it.
My name is Roland Toops, at 3238 Barstow Boulevard, Bossier City, Louisiana. I am one of the property owners of this particular property. First, I'd like to apologize to Mr. Smith because we did make an attempt to get this group together to meet and talk about things, but we were unsuccessful in doing that, and I think Ms. Dixon pointed that out. I will be glad, I will personally be glad to meet with these people and try and satisfy all their needs. I agree with them. I don't want any more traffic going down that street. I think it can be accomplished by several different things, signage, even more than that, I don't know. But I really don't know what all their grievances are, but I'll be more than glad to try and satisfy their needs. To postpone is not bad, if that's what y'all's decision is, especially after what he said. But like he said, every time you postpone, the tenant becomes more nervous. It just happens. We have got to give the people that are there in that building now at least a 60 to 90-day notice to vacate before we can even turn dirt. So there's another postponement that's already built into the scenario. And I just ask that if you, and like Mr. Young mentioned, we've got B1 next to us. If you want this to be B1, we're tickled to death. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Make sure, before you run off, Roland, I want you to come up just so I can see you anyway, so just stay there. Alan.
Mr. Jean, would you please go back over the timeline? So it sounds like what you're explaining would actually expedite the process as opposed to delaying it even further.
Excuse me for interrupting. I understand that. I don't know if my tenant does.
Right.
Again, undoubtedly, this gentleman's had some experience at it, and you really have to experience dealing with tenants before you can understand it, but they get nervous. And their hands start shaking when they get ready to sign that lease and sign that check.
I think.
And this is definitely, even my opponents agree this is an improvement. And you can still stop us later down the line.
Hold on.
I just want to confirm that in essence, it will expedite the process, not slow it down.
It will expedite the ability to go get a building permit. It will not expedite the ability to get the zoning done. Okay, now, but if your goal is to go ahead and get a site plan approval, which is a prerequisite of getting a building permit, this will expedite.
Okay. So, Roland, you understand what it's saying? This would expedite it, but sounds like you said your nervous level with your tenants will take precedence over this expeditious way of doing it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, I'm asking.
It makes everyone nervous. I've already got X dollars involved, and I'm nowhere yet, and it would make me sleep a little better tonight knowing I got at least a little bit of it done, and I think my tenant would feel the same way. But again, it's in your hands.
But your preference is to go for the zoning today?
That's what we would
Regardless of what
prefer.
he said.
Well, here again, it's 6, 1 and a half dozen others. My only concern is my tenant.
Okay.
If we don't get the tenant, you can just forget about the whole deal.
Gotcha.
because we've been looking for 6 years, and we finally found somebody that we felt that would fit into the neighborhood.
Okay. Mr. Remedies?
And like Mr. Andrews did, I'll get on my soapbox. We work hard to try to get business and development in Shreveport, okay? We send out these notices to all the residents around the surrounding property proposed for zoning, okay? That is our legal requirement to do so. So by this, we're saying that that's not, the notice that we're putting out is not good enough. Because someone, instead of reading their notice, calling the MPC office asking, hey, what's going on? I'm really that concerned. They just show up, they can just show up here at the meeting and say, wait a minute, I have a problem with this, I want to discuss it. Although they've been given a notice several weeks in advance. They don't. So in essence, we make a mockery of the systems that are in place and saying, wait a minute, it's not good enough. Well, then we need to change that, okay? But, so we call the tenant, the applicant down here to make this, and all someone has to do is show up and say, wait, I have a problem with this. I'll say this again. We're just rezoning the property. The applicant has already agreed to meet with the surrounding residents and discuss the property, discuss their concern, and address them, which must be done before they come back for a site plan approval, because at that time, the same folks with the same concerns can come back to this open meeting and express all of the concerns. And if we're that sensitive to their needs and wants, then wouldn't we address it at that time?
Okay.
So if we have a tenant that's ready to sign a lease to make this project happen, every time we get together, we speak of wanting new business and development, but in essence, doing it this way, we slow it down. So
Gotcha.
there's my soapbox.
Okay. Possible last comment from the board.
Possible? I just want to clarify what Mr. Remedies is saying. So what you're saying is approval of the zoning, but deferral of a site plan.
They aren't asking for a site plan approval.
Yeah.
But I think it is tentatively part of it, correct, Stephen?
No.
Eventually, they'll have to have site plan approval.
Eventually. They're not
Eventually they have to
asking
say.
for it today.
So if we just said approval of the zoning only, then the site plan has to come back.
Then he knows he can go enter into a lease with the restaurant owner and move the project forward.
I was trying to clarify with Mr. Jean that wording should be used.
Okay.
Yes, sir, that, you could just
Clarify
say,
it. I don't want to
clarify it's
stipulate
for
it.
zoning only, and you could have a stipulation that the site plan approval, the site plan would have to come back to the MPC for approval prior to the release of permits. You've done that before.
You opposed to
Okay.
that? No.
Okay.
Mr.
Sound like we
Toots,
maybe.
is that what would be acceptable?
It's getting very difficult, gentlemen, y'all make up your, ladies, I'm sorry, make up your mind what you want to do, and I'm going to live with it, okay?
Okay. No, that's what
I will say this. I will say this. If the Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, those people will not come back to another meeting. Okay?
Thank you, Rob. Good to see you.
Do we have to?
Okay.
Do we have to make a
Motion to go
motion?
back to a regular session.
Yeah, okay. Been moving second, go back in regular session. All in favor, raise your hands. We're back in regular session. We open
Mr.
for-
Chair, I make a motion to approve site plan only and.
Wait a minute,
with-
wait a minute, that's not the
I was zoning.
zoning.
Zoning only with approval of site plan to come back.
Second.
Question,
Okay,
zoning to what?
That you're only approving the B3 to, the R3 to B1.
To
That's all you're
B1.
approving.
To
That's
B1.
it, B1.
Because B2 is the application,
I'm
correct?
sorry,
wait a minute.
the B1.
Acceptable B1.
Is that where we are?
I think that you're absolutely right. You need to state for the record that it's for B1.
Approval of the application for B1 with the applicant coming back for site plan approval.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Mr. Young, second by Ms. Smith, for approval for B1 on this application. Any questions or comment? All in favor, vote yes. Opposed, vote no. Huh?
Just for a second, it
Hold
says proposed zoning says B2, okay, B1.
They specified they would accept it.
Okay.
Since they did it from the,
Okay.
Okay.
It's also on the application.
That's
also the application stated.
Okay, did everybody vote? Who didn't vote? Okay. Okay, it passes, wait a minute. We have,
Colin.
Calvin voting no, everybody else voting yes, so it passed unanimously. Okay, Next case is C 5914 8943 Kingston. State your name and address for the record, sir.
Rick Pierce, 1049 St. Francis Way in Shreveport, 71106. I am,
Hold on. We're going to give 10 seconds for applicants to exit. Okay, you can continue now, sir.
I am wanting to relocate my industrial construction, our office, to this current location that is now a church with an addition for a warehouse. The current zoning of this property is it's residential. I believe it's R1. R1D, and I appreciate and understand the concerns about an industrial zoning adjacent to a residential, but I'd like to show this and show the circumstances I believe that make this an acceptable exception to that normal rule. This is Kingston Road, Mount Zion Road. And the existing building is right here. And in our original, we submitted a revised site plan that suggested to continue the B3 zoning down Kingston Road, keep the same zoning frontage on Kingston Road, and change the I-1 to the eastern of that, which is where we would have our warehouse and contractor's storage yard. The reason I think this should be okay in this instance, this is R1D, which there's really no opportunity for any residential development here. There's no residents there now. This is a big Chesapeake well site. I can't imagine anyone wanting to develop that piece of property. This is the piece of property we're wanting to purchase, and the adjacent property, this is a church and apartment complex, all commercial across the street. So I really don't see where rezoning this to meet our needs would impact, it certainly wouldn't impact any current residents, and it wouldn't impact any future development because there's really not an opportunity for it in this case.
Is that it? Okay. Any questions or comments for the board? Stephen?
Just want to draw to your attention to the staff report. Alternative B is what the applicant is now talking about. The original application was for industrial use. After consulting with the staff, he's amended his site plan to show what's in front of you now. So if you were so inclined to approve, that you would go to alternative B rather than alternative A.
I guess the other thing to also point out is, the size of this property in relation to our building and the footprint, it's really, I mean, we're just on a little tiny front, the tiny corner of this entire piece of property. We would be several hundred feet, our addition would be basically right here behind the existing building. You can see the huge buffer that would exist between the existing buildings. This is grown-up vegetation, trees. I mean, I can't imagine it being a real impact to anybody. So.
Okay. Mr. Remedies.
Mr. Pierce, is it the smaller building with the green roof? I'm looking at it on Google Maps, that's why I asked.
Yes, the small building with the green roof is,
no. Okay.
The small building with the green roof is the existing church that we're wanting to purchase, renovate that and turn that into our office. And in my office, there's usually 3 or 4 people there at the most. Impact-wise to the neighborhood with traffic is going to be virtually non-existent. All of the work that I do is in industrial plants and facilities. I don't really do things at my office. All of our work is in different locations. And actually, I guess kind of coincidentally, I grew up about a quarter of a mile from this location on South Brookwood. My parents still live there, and they're in their mid-70s and are, really excited about the opportunity for me to be a half a mile or quarter of a mile away. I'm sure I'll get a lot of unannounced visits, so we're looking forward to that.
Okay. Is that okay, Mr. Reed? Did you have something? Okay, Mr. Young.
Given that it is upzoning to I-1, or at least with option B, the back portion of it, what kind of vehicles do you anticipate coming down Kingston Road and turning on there, into your property?
Just personal, pickup trucks, cars. Every now and then we may have a truck that's got a trailer delivering something, but really no, once in a blue moon there might be a heavy tractor trailer, delivering something, but that's rare.
So your anticipation is not to have like an industrial plant or anything like that?
No.
Is the I-1 necessary?
Well, from my understanding of the zoning for a contractor storage yard, which is part of what I need, that is a requirement.
Okay.
I understand, but I'm trying to accommodate, and I'm not trying to be negative, because I like the idea. Anybody who's building businesses and doing stuff, I'm pro-business. I'm just trying to figure out if you really got to have here's the issue. You upzone it to I-1, you keep it 5 years and you sell the property. You are now a very valuable piece of property at I-1. It opens Pandora's box of what could go in. And you do have the Pentecostal church just on the south side of your property.
Right.
And when I-1's hours of operations and anything that can be dropped in at I-1, it opens a Pandora's box. For you, it's a low-impact business. Potentially down the road, once you upzone it, it's a problem. That's my concern. That's the only issue I have. I'm not trying to impede your ability to do what you're doing. It sounds like you're going to be a very low impact to the neighborhood, so I don't have a big issue with it. It's just long-term.
Mr. Remedies?
And it's for Stephen. Is there something else that we can put in place to allow him to do whatever he wants to do, like an exemption, and that it'll fall back to,
Well,
if he sells the property?
And well, matter of fact, in a case earlier today, we talked about the extended use district. And, the extended use district, though, generally we're talking about something that's neighborhood serving. So that really gets us into quite a quandary when we began to look at something that is an industrial use. Is that neighborhood serving, does it meet the test for an extended use district? And I think this is one where it's very difficult to say that it does. So are there others? That's one of the reasons why staff felt that not having the industrial fronting the B3, and there was some existing industrial nearby. I understand where you're coming from, but under the current ordinance, the way we're structured today, we don't have as much flexibility, and you're absolutely right. There are a number of I-1 uses that could come in here at a later date. But
So the best option is to do option B. Do the road
at
frontage.
the point, unless, one of the things that he said a moment ago, and this is a little unusual, but do you have anything, can you kind of indicate how far you're going into the site?
Yes.
And I was wondering if there's any way we could.
You can kind of see here the existing tree line. Comes along through here. This area's kind of grown up.
Right.
We're not even going that far back.
One of the things that it's an idea that we actually put in place a buffer that is required as a part of this, where we can remain a buffer if you're not needing that space, and we actually keep a portion of the property next door as a buffer. We've done this before, where it's tied to the site plan, and that buffer is actually shown as something that is not a building site. And without having the dimension from that is another option that would help take care of some of the issues that you're talking about adjacency to residential. I think that we would need to get a revised site plan submitted to staff, and you may have to at least come up with some minimum buffer distance that you might feel comfortable with if you were trying to achieve that goal, sir. I think
This kind this kind of shows some of the existing distances from the property lines of what we've proposed on our site plan. And you can see where, from this property line to a fence is 80 feet, and there's another 75 to 80 feet to a structure. The actual church, their building is way down here.
Right.
Now, back to your concern, I understand that. But, you know, this property is a long and narrow piece of property. The viability for it to be, it's certainly not going to be residential. There's, you know, the opportunity for...
To the west of it.
To the west of it is commercial.
Well,
Across Kingston Road.
Northeast.
Northeast is already
Industrial.
Yeah. And that industrial zoning continues down Mount Zion Road. There's a lot of development down Mount Zion with commercial and industrial. So, and as it turns back south down Linwood. So I think this is just kind of a natural progression and hopefully a welcomed influx into an area where there hasn't been a lot of development in a long time.
I want to be the dead horse. You're perfectly okay with the front of the road frontage as being
B3?
B3 and then the back portion I-1?
Yes.
I don't want to be the dead horse.
I think that serves our needs perfectly well and protects the existing commercial development that's there.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Come forward and state your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Edward Cooper, 3331 Mesa Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71118. I represent the present owner. I'm the pastor of New Life Church, which owns the 10.57 acres there. We have, if you'll notice the map that's up there right now, the back of our property has already been adjacent to what the applicant wants to change the back portion of our property to. So that would only be an extension of what is already there moving forward. The other thing that has not been brought out about the piece of property, if you ever walk the back of the property of that 10.57 acres, the back 5 acres is fairly low and has not much usage beyond some industrial type parking or scenarios of that case. The other thing that I would point out, it's already been pointed out, is the B3 would be extended right up to that. My point is that we've already been living with that. As a church, zoned residential with a special exception, we've had no problem with that. I've been over to Mr. Pierce's operation over there by Splash off of the Burt Kuntz. He has a nice building over there, nice complex. It's very well kept, organized, and would be an asset, I believe, to that community. We are downsizing and we'll be utilizing our resources going forward in a little bit different fashion, and we're highly in favor of that being rezoned B3 and I-1 on the back for that purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this application? In favor of this application? Any opposition to this application? Opposition? Pleasure of the board.
Motion to approve with alternatives B, which is the application for B3 on the Kingston Road road frontage and the I-1 on the eastern portion of the lot.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Young for approval of alternative B, which is B3 on Kingston, I-1 in the back.
Question?
Questions or comments?
Comment, question. Question to Mr. Jean.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jean, when there is industrial next to I-1, is it normal to have a buffer zone?
Yes, sir.
That is common practice for this board, have done that on a number of cases.
Buffer zone meaning building proximity to the property line?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That can be building, and you can also specify any development within that, any improvements, if you wanted to, because as you well know, sometimes the outdoor activities, parking vehicles and things of that nature can be something that's an issue. As I looked at the kind of scaling out this drawing, looking at it a moment ago, if you were 40 feet, a 40-foot buffer line along that property line, it would not impede him from putting any of the improvements that he was showing on his plan.
What's the question? I don't have
Any other questions? Okay. Well, call for the vote then. All in favor of this application, press yes. Opposed? No. Okay. This passes unanimously with one out of the chamber. Is he gone? Okay. All right. Thank you. Before I call the applicant up for the next case, which is C-6014, 4600 block of Highway 71, I'd like all the opposition to this application to please stand at this time. All the opposition, and I'm going to ask somebody from the staff to count, please. Who's counting? Stephen, you counting?
18.
How many?
18.
18. Okay. Thank you very much. That is in keeping with what we normally do when we have reconnaissance from the staff and feedback. Okay?
All in favor.
Oh, yeah, huh?
All those in favor.
Oh.
In favor to stand.
All right, I forgot. Those that's here in favor of this application, you can stand at this time. Sorry. Those here in favor. So we got that.
Gentleman in the aisle. I don't know
All
if
right, thank you very much. Now we'll start with the applicant for C-60X14, 4600 block of Highway 71. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Darrell Todd Littleton. I'm here representing D&T Property Development. My address is 1510 Corporate Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. We are requesting we're currently zoned at this location for R1. We'd like to change that to R2 so that we can develop, as you see there, a 16-unit apartment complex. I have had some phone calls from concerned neighbors. The thought is, and I hope that the reason we have so much opposition here is because of some bad information. They're thinking this is a low-income development, and it absolutely is not. The clients that we are after are, let me back up. As you know, this area is growing. I-49 is about crossing Highway 71, about 2 miles north of this location. This area is continuing to grow. There's numerous businesses that are popping up in the Northwood area, coming down toward 220. As you guys also know, there's a new Walmart that's going to be developed in this area. There's not a lot of rental options for people who don't own their own home that want to live in a nice apartment. So that's the clients that we're trying to cater to. We bought this property in '08, and when we bought it, it actually had a mobile home on it. And we have cleared that off. We've torn down the CMU house that was not livable in this location, and we just feel the time's right, to develop this, and I think there's a need north of town for some nicer rental property. Let's see, I don't think we're asking for anything outside of the norm. There's actually 5 other multifamily housing developments within a 1.5 mile radius. If I can put this on here. of this property. As you see, the 4647 Old Mooringsport is our property. And, this represents the other multifamily properties in the area. I agree that all of them aren't real nice, but they're not representative of what we're proposing to build here. And I think that's the conception that I hope that we can correct here today to get this approved. I can answer any questions that you guys have.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Remedies?
Just so I'm clear, when you go up 71, you go past the split, is this the place, there's a commercial building on the right?
Yes, sir. Actually,
a fairly new commercial place.
That's
Is
correct.
it the property just past it that would be on the right-hand side?
It is, yes, sir. It's
on the corner of Old Mooringsport?
It is not the complete corner, and I'll get the, let me see.
Because I think we had a case not long ago where the gentleman that owned that property wanted to put used cars in the front yard of that same.
No, that's.
No, sir. That's not our property.
That's back in town.
There is a commercial, let me get this other drawing real quick.
School buses on that property.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
There's a commercial sheet metal shop. This is it here.
Okay, yeah.
Which is located, this is our property, so there you go. It's actually located here at the B2. This is the property. We don't own the exact corner is not the property we own. We own this piece of property. Right now, there's an entrance off of Highway 71 into the property, and there's an entrance off of Old Mooringsport Road into the property. Our site plan proposal that we're asking for you guys to approve along with the zoning shows us doing away with the entrance off of Highway 71 and making the main entrance off of Old Mooringsport Road.
And a couple other questions. We had a lot of letters, and I guess, a lot of times it is misinformation, miscommunication between the public and the developer. But we heard low-income housing, government subsidized, anything like that.
Yes, sir.
I mean, is this something that you're going to accept government subsidies for the rent for?
No, sir.
You're not?
We're not.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay, that's it? Any other comments from the board? Okay, thank you. Wait a minute.
Mr. Jean, that sheet metal shop, is that the one we approved about a year ago, year and a half ago?
I'll take care of that first.
I believe it is.
Okay, what shop are they?
Just noticing the transition in the area, that's all. Because we dealt with that case about a year and a half ago, I think.
Just hang in. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else here would like to speak in favor of this application? In favor of the application? Okay. Opposition to this application? Okay. Now, the first one, I just want to make this observation. We make the assumption the first speaker will be your main spokesperson for the group, and that person will get 10 minutes. All others will get 3.
Right.
Okay? So long as you guys can get your head together on who will be considered the principal spokesperson, who will get 10 minutes. So look like it's you, man.
I can say what I have to say in 3 minutes.
Am I supposed to say we did interviews on the 23rd for the record? Okay. We can talk about it. Okay. All right, I'm sorry, ma'am. I had to take care of a little housekeeping item there. Go right ahead, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Nancy Adcock, 5000 Highway 71, Shreveport, Louisiana. My family lives approximately 1/2 mile from the proposed zoning change, and we are opposed to this zoning, and I have 10 reasons here. Number one, my family relied on the current zoning when we purchased our property in 2004. My husband and I checked the MPC map that was hanging in our office to see that it was only residential in this area. We talked to individuals who were employed by the MPC, by the city of Shreveport, and other people who were concerned with the development of North Shreveport. We were told that this area is residential and that they could not foresee any zoning changes, that all commercial development and multifamily housing would go up Highway 71 because that would be the main corridor for commercial development. So we trusted the MPC zoning, we bought the property, and we built our home there. Number two, this owner has knowingly and willingly violated zoning laws for several years. I've seen numerous mobile homes and RVs moved onto the property. I have photos here of various, they were taken by Google, and since 2007, they're dated, and they show as many as 4 residences were on the property during different times. Here in 2007, there was a cinder block home, a mobile home, and a travel trailer. In December 2007, a cinder block home, mobile home, and travel trailer. Here in 2009, a cinder block home, 2 mobile homes, large mobile homes on the property, and 1 travel trailer. In June of 2013, a cinder block home, 2 mobile homes. November of 2013, a cinder block home, 2 mobile homes.
Ma'am, but if you can move the mic or yourself
Okay.
close to, so we get it for the
And
record.
December 2013, the cinder block home and 2 mobile homes. And here's an overview of the property with the 2 large mobile homes on the property and the cinder block home here. So since this property owner has owned the property, this having residential zoning, they have knowingly and willingly violated the zoning laws. He's not maintained this property in the past, and that's always an indication of future intent. I have pictures here that I took last Friday of the property since he's cleared it, and there remains a lot of junk on the property. Y'all a few pictures here.
Pull the mic over with you. If you're gonna speak. Okay.
The property owner's reasoning for development is neither logical nor viable. When I first called the MPC office, I was told that it was because a Walmart was coming to the area. That Walmart is a couple miles away. There is no public transportation to that Walmart, no bus stops in about a 2-mile area. Employees transferred in are going to seek permanent housing, and I can't see these apartments as permanent for anyone. This development is not a good fit for our neighborhood. He stated he was going to put 16 apartments. Actually, the drawings turned into the MPC show 32 apartments with 26 parking spaces. I think that there would be variances that would be required for this. And this is all on 1 acre, each apartment being only 388 square feet. Most median-priced hotel rooms are bigger than that. We know that these will not be maintained by renters, and based on past property experience from the property owner, it probably will not be maintained by him either. There is no need for apartments in the immediate area. I contacted 4 apartment complexes who all had apartments available. One is being renovated at present and will have 140 apartments available starting within the next month. Highway 71 is not the appropriate site for apartments. There are no other apartments on Highway 71 within several miles. Highway 1 is the main corridor for such development. Our business, personal business, is on Highway 1. We live on 71. I travel both of them daily. There are many properties on Highway 1 that have been rezoned in the past few years. I-49 access is currently on Highway 1, making it the desirable corridor for such development. And also, even though there are apartment complexes within the area, all of those gain access by Highway 1, not Highway 71. The additional traffic created by 32 apartments on 1 acre will make this a dangerous intersection. Especially after work, there's a lot of traffic at this intersection. A lot of the traffic pulls out onto Highway 71, and then it immediately slows to get into the turn lane to continue on Old Morningsport Road. Sometimes the cars have to wait to pull out on Highway 71 because the turn lane on Highway 71 is already full. And so more traffic trying to turn into and out of the apartments is a safety issue. These apartments will detract and lower property values of homeowners. Homeowners, whether they are large or small, they have a vested interest in their property, and that's not true in this situation. And as being a resident of North Shreveport for some 38 years, North Shreveport wants better for our community. And there is nothing good about this development for our community. This area has great potential if it is developed correctly and properly. And there's a sense of community. We agree with the 2030 Caddo Master Plan, and our community is being proactive in supporting that plan by being here today. There are many from our community that are here in opposition, and for all these reasons, I respectfully request that zoning be denied.
Thank you very much. If you can stay there for a second and see if there is any questions or comments from the board.
I have a question. Looking at the pictures, I'm just concerned, what have you all done with all of the violations that you presented here today? What's been done to maintain that property? Because from observation from your pictures, he has violated a lot of rules.
Right.
As far as maintaining all of the.
And I know that he has been turned in to the zoning board, and, you know, people have told me, well, I've turned him in, it's done no good. So that's about all I can add to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Cooper?
I had a question for Mr. Jean. I don't know if
Okay.
this is the right time.
Well, yeah, you can ask staff a question.
Okay, I wanted to ask just a master plan question since we don't have Dara.
Sure.
The density of this use, does the master plan speak to that at all? Because this is going to be pretty dense for 1 acre with this many separate units that are pretty small. Is there any guidance there?
Well, we did not do a land use, look at the land use map on this particular case. I can do that real quickly, and if you give me a moment, I'll give you an answer.
Okay, great. And if you think of any other particular master plan issues, I'm trying to think myself, but I'm not as familiar with the master plan overall as you are, so.
Okay, was your questions?
He's gonna
Okay.
check on something and
I'm
get
gonna
back to
check a couple of things, and I'm gonna go ahead
Okay.
and respond.
All right, moving right along. Any other questions or comment before we go to the next speaker? Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition? Okay, sir, come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. And others who want to come, you might want to come towards the front chair. State your name and
My name is Herbert Goat. I live at 960 Whispering Lake Drive, Shreveport, 71107. I'm here to represent not only myself, but also North Lakewood Estates Neighborhood Association. I am president of the association. We have in excess of 100 family homes in our subdivision. We're all very much opposed. I have lived in the subdivision 38 and a half years. When I moved there, North Lakewood Apartments, which is at 4302 North Market, was available. They were being kept very nice. As time went on, they were converted to Section 8. We have had many headaches and problems because of that. Across the street, years later, they built 2 additional apartment complexes against our subdivision's objection, and we have had nothing but problems from them. Recently, the apartments at 4302 North Market have been purchased. They have been vacated. They're being remodeled. They're going to be more upscale. They're going to have a guard gatehouse and entrance control, so there will be not rogue people coming and going 24 hours a day. The reason our subdivision, the homeowners in our subdivision object to it, all these additional apartments around it has lowered our property values. If we could move our houses to Broadmoor, we could get $60,000 or $70,000 more for them. And the other problem we have is we feel that there's adequate number of apartments in the North Shreveport area at this time. If you go up Highway 1 or North Market from North Hearn, half a mile on either side, you will find that there's approximately 2,000 apartments that are constructed up to the city limits of Shreveport. My backyard fence is the edge of the city limits, so I am aware of what has gone on in North Shreveport all that period of time, and we're very much opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sir?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Questions?
No, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Come forward, please, and state your name and address for the record.
My name's Joseph Parker. I live at 4629 Old Moore'sport. My property pretty much backs up right where they're going to be building this apartment complex. There's a lot in between us. My concerns is traffic flow. We already have a hard enough time with the rush hour traffic in and out of our property. And then also we just paid our house off after 20 years, and we moved in that area because it's a quiet area. And now we're going to have 16 units or possibly 32 units that are going to be traffic and noise throughout the time, you know, and we moved there just to invest in, you know, have a nice quiet place and a nice place to go right downtown, 10 minutes away. So I'm really opposed against this moving forward.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for coming.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, hold on a second.
Mr. Parker, just a quick question. I came off of 49 to 71 coming south. If I was parked there, isn't that speed limit on 71 50 miles an hour right there? If I was at that apartment complex and I was pulling out to go south on 71, isn't that 50 miles an hour?
Yes, sir. And then right past, you get past the other part of 538.
Right.
It goes up to 55. But most of the traffic that's coming, trucks coming into Shreveport, they're doing 65.
Reggie, put that one up on the screen right there. I want to see where Mr. Parker's address is compared to that triangle. Which one is yours there, Mr. Parker?
All right. This is the one that we're talking about
Yes,
here?
sir.
This is my property
Right
right
there.
here.
Okay. All right.
There's a wooded area right, there's a wooded area right there. So, you know, it's probably about an acre. It's buffered right there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any other opposition to this application? Come forward and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Clay Scott. I live at 4660 Old Moore'sport Road, Shreveport 71107. My neighbors and I are all strongly opposed to this apartment complex. 3 years ago, I built my home right here on my family's property. This entire piece of property is my family's property. That's my grandfather's house. I built my house here because I wanted to live on my family's property. I'm the fourth generation. When I received my letter from the MPC, I went around to all of my neighbors to see what they thought about this, and every one of them is against it. I have 63 signatures on a petition stating they do not want this. I'd like to turn that in. That's 63 families that do not want this. A lot of people in this area live on family property just like I do. We all want to see it developed correctly. We want to see our property value continue to increase. If these apartments are allowed to be built, it'll destroy our property value. There are no apartments on Old Moorsport Road in that area or Highway 71. Yes, a mile and a half on Highway 1 there's apartments, but that's not in our area. I feel it would make it hard for me to sell my house at all. It's a brand new home. I just built it. Who wants to live across the street from an apartment that's 388 square feet? These apartments are not in the best interest of our community. When I called one of the owners, Todd Littleton, I found out that 6 years ago he bought the property and moved a trailer onto the property. He was then notified it was not zoned for trailers and he needed to move them out. For the past 6 years, he did nothing about it. This is what it looks like, which is too dark, but this trailer home right here was the one that was moved on. That trailer home was already there when he bought the property. This one was never finished out with skirting or driveway, no improvements at all. He let his construction crew live there. Several families have already lived there against the zoning. He does not care about the property or the area, and he has not taken care of it in the past. All he cares about is making some money on this property. These apartments may be built to current standards, but what are they going to be in 5 to 10 years? History says he's not going to keep it up. He wants to put 32 apartments on 1 acre. He told me 16. When I did my own looking into it, I found out it's 32. He wants to put 32 families with children right by Highway 71. It's already a dangerous intersection. And the apartments are 388 square feet. How could it be anything but low income? My 63 neighbors and I on the petition are asking something very simple. Please keep the zoning the same. It's already zoned for single-family residences. Please deny his zoning change at this meeting. Please put my neighbors and I at ease that our property values will continue to be okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any other opposition to this application?
11 units per acre. How many acres is this thing?
Please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Michael Thomas. I live at 4697 Highway 71, 71107. I agree with everything that all the other people who are objecting to the zoning change have said, and I did all my independent research too, and everybody came to the same conclusion. There's 140 remodeled apartments that are going to open up. This really isn't necessary. Those 3 trailers that they had on the property were so bad that I think one of them they had to demo and haul off. The other 2 they brought somewhere else to use them. I don't know where. I found one zoning violation, not against D&T Development, but against another company with the same people appointed as members, which the violation occurred on June 22nd, 2009. And then it went to court, I guess, in Shreveport City from 2012 to 2014. I tried to call the city court to find out what that was about, but I couldn't get the records. Regarding the master plan, the 3 criteria that I found that were relevant were redevelopment, not new development. This is new. Needs to be inside the loop instead of outside. This is outside. And finally, it needs to be walkable. Everybody who lives here is going to have to drive. They're all going to add to congestion, and it's really not a safe road as it is. It's just a little 2-lane road on Old Moorsport, and 32 additional people live in those apartments are going to have to pull out onto it. That's about, I could go into detail about how bad the properties were, but I think from looking at all the pictures, you can probably get a pretty good idea. So I'll just take this stuff and add it in, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Any other opposition to this application? Come forward, Mr. Commissioner, state your name and address so we know where you live.
Okay, my name is Lyndon Johnson, Caddo Parish Commissioner, District 2. Address is 3722 Mallory Break Circle. I received a numerous amount of calls about this project that they want to put in these apartments. And you've heard a lot already, and so I won't really go and rehash them all, but I'll just give you a little highlight of what I've heard in my conversations with the residents of District 2. For the past 6-7 years, he has not maintained the property. Second one is they want to preserve the stable residential area that they have. Third, the fear of property value decreasing and other apartments that are available in the area. When you have people that have, when you already have apartments that are available and you put new apartments in and these are smaller than the ones that are already available, I mean, what they gonna do, sit there, pretty much. Fourth is location. It sits between Highway 71 and Old Morningsport Road, and you got 50 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour traffic in and out all the time. The fifth is the master plan, which Mr. Thomas has briefly talked about. The sixth one is the I-49 North Corridor study that the Caddo Parish Commission has paid $150,000 to have a consultant come in to say what kind of things we want to put inside of the corridor. This study is just about to roll out for public comment. So basically doing this will kind of offset what we've already spent money to try to avoid in the future and try to make sure that the residents and the developers all agree before we put something into the corridor of I-49 North.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Are there any more new comments that need to come in opposition? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name's William G. Pickering. I live at 4536 Old Morningsport Road. I have 5 more letters that can be added to the ones you've already discussed. I was here about 2.5 years ago to get approval to build my brand new home for me and my wife, which is about a half a mile from where this is supposed to happen, maybe a little less than half a mile. So I went through that process so I could build my wife's dream home, and we could move back on some property that it's been in the families for since 1930s, and I'm not real happy about this. Actually, a little over a couple months ago when I drove by there and saw they were taking the trailers out, and then they took down the dilapidated white cinder block home, I thought things were looking up. But at this point in time, I just can't see that to be the truth. I think everything else has been said pretty much. Pictures have been shown. I can't see this property being developed for multiple families and being developed in the way it would make anybody proud. And that could be harsh, but that's the way I feel. So at this point in time, along with the 5 other letters I brought, and the 63 people that already signed, including myself, my mother, my little brother, and my sister, I'd like to see this not pass. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there any other opposition to come before? Okay, thank you. Any other opposition with new observation? Any other opposition with new observation? If not, is the applicant there to come with rebuttal?
I can understand these people's stance on this because there are multifamily establishments very close in there. Like I said, there's 5 within a 1.5 mile radius. There's actually, as I shown before, directly across the road here, this, let's see, R3 comes right up to the highway across the street and business just south. None of those multifamily establishments have been maintained at all. They're all run down, and I'm sure they've had problems. To go back to the trailer houses, when we bought the property, the trailer houses were there. We were under the assumption that it was outside of the city limits and trailer houses we're okay there. We moved another trailer house onto the property. We did it ourselves. We got a letter from the MPC stating we're in violation. We did clean it up. We moved both trailer houses off there. Now both trailer houses are in Doyline. They weren't torn down. We bought another piece of property and moved them out to Doyline for rental property. We tore down the White House, and we've got quite a bit of money invested in cleaning up this property. The pictures that the lady showed are actually things that have been dumped on the property since we've cleaned it up, and we've actually gone and cleaned up things that people have dumped, and since then we've had more trash dumped. My question, and I've got a few things I want to go through here, but I guess my question, this property doesn't lend itself, or it's not in a good location for a single-family home. Nobody would ever build a single-family home right there on the edge of Highway 71. It's perfect for what we're proposing. The fact that there is no public transportation to this land should tell them that I'm not trying to put in low rent or low income housing that's going to be subsidized. People that live here probably will have cars. I'm not there at 7:30 in the morning. I'm not there in the evening. I have not seen a traffic problem. I have been in and out of there. I haven't noticed that there's a traffic problem there. The reason that the other apartments are being updated are because there is a need for apartments in that area. That I-49 coming is I measured it, 1.7 miles from the split of the highway. We're a couple hundred yards from the split of that highway up Highway 1. I'm 71, I'm sorry. It's a perfect location for someone who's working north of town to rent an apartment. The plans we showed did show all one-bedroom apartments. We did not put a lot of money into the design of these apartments. There will be some two-bedroom units. So I can see the concern with the 380 square feet. The only thing I can say is these apartments are going to be nice. They are going to be maintained if approved. And it's an investment for us. So it's important to us that the value of this property and what we build there is maintained. We don't want to do something that's going to degrade the neighborhood. There was a statement made that all of the apartments are up. Let's see where we at here. Yeah, or up Highway 1. That's actually not true. There's actually apartments down Old Morningsport Road, a couple sets of apartments. So again, I don't